Hi folks, welcome to another video, and this time we're going to do a repair of a silicone doll that has extensive damage to the foot. And this is done mostly because of some factory issues that I discovered that wore through the foot. Additionally, also because she was standing for a long time without basically bolts, but she has hardened silicone feet. So you can see the damage that I found over the course of time, and kind of amazed me that there was such damage over about a couple years since I owned her. And basically what I discovered when I opened up the foot and did an investigation is that there's this piece of rounded metal that was very sharp and actually would cut my finger if I touched it hard. And it may have broken off from another piece, but I couldn't find the piece that it originally might have attached to. So this hemispherical little piece of metal or brass or whatever it is was basically very sharp and cut through the foot over the course of time. I had this doll sitting in high heel shoes for many years, and so this might have also helped the situation in a sense. So what I decided to do was get a cutoff wheel and basically cut off those sharp edges. Because it's hardened metal, perhaps it's stainless steel, the only way of really getting rid of it is just to cut it off. So as best as I could, I attempted to cut off those sharp pieces of steel or whatever it's made of with just a cutoff wheel. And of course, this is one way of doing it. Don't worry about the browning of the silicone. It's very easy. I just cleaned it off with a little acetone, and I'll show that later. You can obviously mask it up, but yeah, I'm not really, concerned about the cosmetics too much, being it's a foot area. If you're a foot person, perhaps just cover it up a little bit better than I have here. Anyway, I'm just cutting out the other piece of metal here. I did think about using a Dremel, but at the same time, would have taken a long time to perform the same thing, which takes seconds. So all I do here is basically use a rounded bit and just smooth out the area I just cut just a moment ago, and just to dull it up and make it rounded so that it's no longer sharp. And this is just what's left of that piece now that I cut, and shouldn't possess any more issues in the future. So I was a little surprised, obviously, that this piece had broken off from something, but the foot was still functional. At least the heel was functional. So it's kind of perplexing what this might have been from. Um, and so, like I said, the doll had stood in heels, and if the heels actually flop over, as often happen with heels, that the doll would end up having a serration or some kind of damage to the foot here, which may or may not have been caused by heels, but I'm sure the sharp-edged part that broke definitely didn't help the situation, as I stand my dolls in heels quite routinely. And even though this is a hardened silicone doll, the foot area in this case, I really believe in hardened silicone feet that don't have studs to stand in, because that really works well in my opinion. And I was try to buy a doll without bolts. Specifically in this case, the Sino dolls have an option. You can see the seam line here, where you can very visually see it, but it's a two-part mix. Well, it's a multi-part mix that has a hardened silicone attached to the softer silicone ankle. And here I'm just going to clean off the area. I just have basically made a big mess of the area that's spattered from the cutting of the metal, and I'm just trying to clean it off as best as I can. You can use alcohol or whatever you want to use. In this case, I just use acetone because it cleans very quickly, and it gets off all that stuff that was blackened and whatever from also from her standing like that. Basically, you get a lot of the areas that's discolored. And here I'm just trying to see how I can fit it all together. So this is a bit of a perplexing situation where I had to find a way of binding it all together. And so using Permatex glue, I'll have to find a way of getting the glue in there. So the simplest thing was to just simply take the tube of glue and screw it in as much of repair material as needed until it just oozes out. So how am I going to actually keep this foot sealed to cure is definitely an issue I had to consider. And so I'll just get over that. I'll just discuss that in a little bit later in this video, how I achieved that. And this is something that other people have done in the past. So here I'm just cleaning the foot as best as I can. So I don't want any repair material, in this case the silicone glue, to bond to some dirty areas. So I try to get the foot as clean as possible. And I'm using here again acetone to just get the foot as clean as I can. So of course this won't work with TPE dolls, just so you know. This is only for silicone doll repair. So we have an old tube of Permatex, which, by the way, keep it in the freezer uh, with a saran wrap over the threaded area, and it'll keep good for forever, basically, so the tube will never harden on you. So here I'm just trying to squeeze it in there, uh, dig it in as much as you can wherever the foot has loosened up from the metal. And how much it takes is anyone's guess, but I've factored in about 5 cc's worth is what I think I needed for this particular repair, which is probably about a quarter of a tube. I'm not too concerned about the cosmetics a whole lot here, but I just want it repaired enough that she can stand again without any further issues. So I'm just adding as much as I can and let it soak into, or at least seep into, areas which are the crevices in the foot. A lot of this time, a lot of these repairs, I'm doing these by feel, not by any previous experience. I've never done this type of repair before. So here I think it's just improvising as best you can and see how you can learn from what you can do. So here I'm just trying to get the glue to go into crevices and in between with the metal and seal everything up perfectly well with hopefully minimal amount of air gaps. So if this doesn't look perfectly good in the end, I don't really care. I'm using most of the time pantyhose or stockings over the feet, sometimes socks, and definitely wearing shoes, and so that she won't have a problem in the future. So as long as it functions well is my main goal here. So here I'm going to suture up the repair because there's no other way of keeping it tight. So just take a decent sized needle, sewing needle, thread. I use here, I think it was like a skin colored thread. Not that it really makes a difference really, but just to suture it up as best as you can without tightening it too much to create wrinkles on the skin, but just enough to create a join between the two materials. And it's quite a challenge to poke the needle through the hardened silicone, so it just takes a little bit of time. But just take your time in this regard, um, and then just seamlessly bond the two areas together. And this is really all it takes. You want to smooth out the silicone when you finish the job and add baby powder in the end to dull the area as best as you can. Um, Again, I'm not too concerned about the cosmetics in the end here, just purely have her ability, basically to be able to stand is my main goal here. And I think in the end, the pictures actually aren't too bad. And now she's obviously repaired after this repair video has been made. And I'm quite happy with it in the end. The sutures, don't worry about them. They stay in there permanently. There's not much any way you can get them out anyway, but you don't really see them. And with a little bit of baby powder over the area of the glue, it looks pretty decent in the end. I'm pretty happy with the repair. Again, it's mostly a functional repair where this will most likely not happen again. So after it's cured over a period of, I think, 2 days, it's hardened really well, and the wound looks like it's never going to open up again, in my opinion. This is really good, and I'm really happy that it came out to the point where at least it looks decent. With pantyhose on, you won't even see this anymore. But anyway, folks, hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it. Till next time.